Hariom everyone. We are starting the next class on Kathopnishad. This is the seventh class. And so we shall start with the chanting first. Those who want, they can chant at their end while I chant here. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganpati Gam Havamahi Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvanutibi Siddh Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganpataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are starting this class on Kathopnishad. We have seen so far that Nachiketas is doing the yajna with his father. He's helping his father, and there he observes certain deficiencies in the yajna. And therefore, when he points it out, his father, a bit upset and not knowing what to say, says, I send you to Yamalok. So he goes to Yamalok, honoring his father's words. And when he reaches there, he has to wait for 3 days. So, because of the pain suffered by him, Yamaraja gives him three boons. The three boons, Adhyatmik, Adhibhautik, Adhidevik, are chosen by him. So, first boon is that he asked that when he goes back, his father should receive him back. So, everything should go back to normal from the time he went to the Yamalok. And then, secondly, he asked for the uh, Yajna Agni, the knowledge of doing the Yajna. So, there he learns about how all our wishes can be fulfilled. And this boon he chooses for his family or his village. Right. So, these are the first two. The third one takes time because the third one is about self-knowledge or Atmagyanam. So, because it's about Atmagyanam, it is one of the most subtle and most difficult of knowledges. So, the teacher, being Yamaraja here, he tests him thoroughly so that he can know that this student is really serious because he's a young child. And so, he has to know that he's really uh, he values this knowledge by showing his fierce desire for that knowledge, mumukshutvam, and also he has the requisite qualities to understand this knowledge. Right? So when Nachiketas uh, clearly shows that he really wants to go for this knowledge and nothing else, then Yamacharya relents and says, okay, he agrees to impart the knowledge, and he starts in this. We have here the second part of the first chapter, Dvitiya Valli. So the first chapter, Adhyaya 1, and then it has three parts, 1, 2, 3. Pratham Valli, Dvitiya Valli, and Tritiya Valli, and then the Dvitiya Adhyaya also, the second chapter also, again has the same three parts. So in this part, he starts with first of all glorifying his student, glorifying the knowledge also, and so we are looking at the third mantra. So we have seen completely. That I will just refresh about that, and then we'll go into the fourth one. So सत्वं प्रियान प्रिय रूपांश कामा अभिध्यायन नचिकेतो अत्यस्राक्षि न एताय श्रृंकाम वित्तमयीम अवाप्तः यस्याम मज्जन्ति बहवो मनुष्याः. So that Nachiketas, that you have given up or you have ceased to be bound by all the Priya and Priya Roop, all the things that look dear to you, and all those things that have beautiful or enticing shapes. So all those you have rejected. And by meditating on them, abhidhyan, by thinking about them, you have left them, you have rejected them. Atyasrakshi, you have rejected these desires. Have not been bound by them, right? So, na etam shrinkam vittamaya vapta. You have not been tied down by these golden chains. So, these golden chains refers to the chains of materialism, the chains of what most common people desire for or aim for, right? So it is only someone who has transcended his desire, his experiences can go for this higher knowledge. So na etam shrinkam, that golden chain of go with the of money or gold or wealth, you have avapta, you have left it alone, you have rejected it. Yasyam majjanti bahavo manusya, which is desired by, or which is followed after by the maximum number of people. So the majority of people, they want to stay engrossed in the world, in the worldly affairs, right? In enjoying the worldly wealth, materialism, because transcending that takes a huge effort. So, because of that, he has defined here earlier also that the ones he has defined two paths, Shreyas and Preyas. So, these two paths are Preyas is something that you do, something that you just like doing, just your mind tells you, I like this, and so you do it. And then prayers is one in which you do something that is that you do not just follow right away after your mind, but you just analyze something that will be beneficial for you. Something will be beneficial in the long run, not just something you enjoy for a short period, but something that will really be beneficial for you in the long run. So that is the path of prayers, path of Shreyas. So in Shreyas, you are supposed to follow the path where some discipline, some kind of internal control, self-control is required, so that you don't let go of your sense organs. You don't give them free rein. You don't give them free rein. So that will also come in the later chapters. So how to control those, how to control those different uh, desires, how the mind is directed outwards, how the sense organs are directed outwards, that has to be controlled. So this thing has now been so far taken up, right? So now we are connecting two more words which I had indicated in the previous class also, avidya and vidya. So these are connected to the two words we have earlier seen, that is uh, Shreyas and Preyas. So Duramete Viparite Vishuche. Duramete Viparite Vishuchi Avidyaya cha vidyeti gyata Vidya Bhipsinam Nachiketa Sammanne Natva Kama Bahavo Lolupantah Duramete Viparite Vishuchi Avidyaya cha vidyeti gyata विद्यापीप्सिनं नचिकेत सम्मन्ये नात्वा कामा बहवो लोलुपन्तः. So Duramete Viparite Vishuchi. There are two different paths. There are two different, totally opposing paths, which are uh, available to us. What are they? Avidya and Vidya, the path of ignorance and the path of knowledge, right? And Vidya Abhipsinam Nachiketasam Manne. I see you, O Nachiketas, as someone who is desirous of that path of Vidya, who wants to follow that path of Vidya, who wants to follow the path of knowledge. Nachiketasam Manne, Manne, I think of it in this way. I accept you in that manner, or I understand you in that way. So natva kama bahavo lolupanta. Why? Because I see that you have not been enticed by the different desires. Natva kama, you are not enticed by desires. Bahavo, number of desires. Lolupanta, they do not entice you. Huh? lolupantah. So in this way, he indicates that giving up of desires, lolupanta jo lubhate hain, something that entices you, something that attracts you, something you find difficult to give up. So because of these different uh, options come to us in our life, if we select them, we have to select them wisely, which path you want to follow. So avidya here represents basically the path of uh, prayer, something that is priya to us, something that we like doing, something we do just because it gives us pleasure, whether it is beneficial for us or not, that we decide in the other path, which is vidya. Avidya yacha vidya iti gyata. So though vidya is the path of knowledge where we decide what to do with the uh, long-term benefits in mind. So, Duram ete viparit. Duram, they are very far away from each other. They go and diverge in totally different directions, right? So, there is this poet by Frost in which he says, two paths diverge. Very beautiful poem. So, in there, these two paths are similarly two different diverging paths, which we choose, that is up to us. Vishuchi represents Duram ete. Huh? So ete is a signal word. I'll explain. Vishuchi, Shuchi represents in one way a list. Suchi, you know a list. And then in another way, Visuchika represents a box, because a box can contain, like a list has a list of number of items. So a box can also contain number of items, right? So there are number of choices to us for that are given to us, but of them, two are mentioned here. Vidya and Avidya. These are the two choices. Which one we choose? So if those who know Sanskrit, Duram Ete. Ete is, Vishuchi is a feminine gender, right? So Vishuchi is feminine gender. So Sa Taute, Tam Tautan, like that, if we go, then in the male gender, Te goes for the, Te goes for the, multiple items, right? So प्रथम एक वचन द्विवचन बहुवचन बहुवचन. So but in feminine gender, सा तेता ताम तेता और एशा एता एते एता. So te represents two. So here this word ete represents the two paths that are available to us, right? So it's a huge list of things we can do. Out of that, we can divide them up into two different paths, right? So two different paths, which are avidya and vidya. So avidya is the path of total enjoyment, the total, you can say, hedonism, or the path of materialism, whichever way you want to put it. And vidya, in vidya also you can enjoy things, but in a restrained and manner that is more beneficial for us. Like you need food, but how much food you need, that you have to decide. You need to enjoy, you need to have fun, you need to watch movies, you need to have entertainment, but how much you need to you need to curtail yourself. You need to, give yourself certain time. Like all things should be done in balance, right? So for that balance, this path of Shreyas is to be followed. How to maintain perfect balance? Because say for a student, he has to have some time for study, some time for exercise, some time for entertainment, some time for spending with family, and so on. So similarly with the householder. So all the things that we do in life, we should have that balance. So that balance is indicated by uh, the person who's following prayers, Vidya Abhipsinam. The person who is desirous of Vidya, Abhipsinam. So Vidya Abhipsinam, Nachiketasam Manne. He says, here Lord Dharmaraja says, I see you as the perfect person to follow this path of Vidya, right? So, because of this two diverging paths, they are leading us to Shreyas and Preyas. So, if we can say point by point, then the path of Shreyas is what? It is preferable or good. Whereas the path of Preyas is, it gives us pleasure. It is pleasurable. It is pleasant. Hmm. Then the Shreyas is the path of light, right? Path of light, whereas Priyas is the path of darkness. Why darkness? Because it can lead you to total indulgence, and sometimes those indulgences can lead you to serious deficiencies. right? Then the path of Shreyas ultimately it will lead you to the spiritual path, right? The path of self knowledge. Because for self knowledge, what does Shreyas do? It disciplines you. It disciplines your mind, your sense organs, so that when you are going in for the receiving of the spiritual knowledge, you are more receptive, right? Your sense organs are open to that knowledge. They are not directed towards your material desires or material pleasures. Right. So whenever you try to meditate, what happens? All kinds of different thoughts come into your mind that disturb you, all the things that you enjoy. So you have to be able to give them up, uh, not just give them up in the sense that suppress them, but to give them up as something that with the understanding that these are temporary. I do not need to be trapped on them. So that is how the path of Shreyas will lead you to the spiritual path ultimately, the path of Jnanam, finally, Gyan, Vigyan, finally. So all these paths, but whereas the path of Prayas, what? It leads to, it is a materialistic path. Then we have seen the two names. It is based on knowledge, the path of Shreyas. So path of Shreyas is the path of Vidya, and the path of Prayas is the path of Avidya. Right, fourth point. Then the for the path of Shreyas, you need intellect, discrimination, Vivek. You need discrimination, how to know what is right, what is wrong. Whereas path of Prayas, no discrimination is needed. Jo acha laga karo, whatever you like, do. Right. Then path of Shreyas needs what we call a sattvic intelligence. You need to be pure inside. Huh? You need to have higher goals. Whereas Priyas is Rajasic or Tamasic intelligence. Your intelligence is dominated by Rajas or activity, enjoyment, or Tamas, too much of inertia, rest, relaxation, sleep. So that way. Then 7 point again, prayers will lead you to a definite goal of liberation. Huh? So no more birth and rebirth. So that is there. Whereas prayers, it will lead you to samsara, to the entrapment of endless transmigrations. Janam punarapi jananam punarapi maranam. So in this way, it will continue. Then path of Shreyas will bring you peace of mind, stillness, right? Whereas prayers will lead you restless of mind, because always whenever these desires are, overpowering your mind will be restless. But when desires are gone, your mind is still like a clear, calm lake, which is reflecting the light, sunlight, or where you can see your reflection clearly. Yeah, so there the knowledge is easily absorbed. And then again, path of Shreyas is long-term gain is valued here. Long-term gain is there. Whereas in prayers, you have short-term gain. Then again, prayers, Shreyas will take you inward. Meditation takes you inside. Prayers will take you outward. It takes you outward. So then again, Shreyas will take you towards more of Vairagya, more of sannyas. Whereas for prayers, it will be indulgence, how to enjoy more and more, right? And then finally, the prayers, Shreyas will take you, your consciousness will widen. It will try to include more and more of the universe within you. Huh? Your love, your affection will go out to more people. So it universalizes. Whereas what does prayers do? It ego centralizes. It takes you towards ego. Huh? It takes you more inward. So as you can clearly notice, these two paths we have seen, Vishuchi, are clearly widely divergent, leading to totally different goals. There is a huge, wide chasm between those two paths. So Nachiketas is offered all the pleasures of the world, all the heavenly pleasures not obtained on earth also. He was given the beauties of the heavens and the lots of chariots and lots of enjoyments in heaven, but still he rejected them, firmly refusing them. So in this final analysis of Yamaraja, Nachiketas is high above the other general people. Huh? So he is chosen as the one who is now going to be easily receptive of this knowledge. So, path of prayers is self gratification, me, mine, myself, always. That is why we don't understand the behavior of those people in the earlier eras, in the earlier yugas. We find funny that they, or we find weird that they gave up so many things or they lived such uh, tough lives. Uh, why? Because they wanted to discipline themselves, but we think that they was being stupid. So it depends on your outlook, how you take this. So kama bahavo lolupantah is our outlook. We are engrossed in our desires, all this multitude of desires. But the person of reason, the person of Shreyas, the person who has a disciplined mind, he will know how to control himself, he or she. And then we go on to the next one. अविद्यायामन्तरे वर्तमानाः स्वयं धीरा पंडित मन्यमानाः दन्द्रम्यमाना पर्यन्ति मूढा अन्धेन एव नीयमाना यथाग्धः अविद्यायामन्तरे वर्तमानाः स्वयं धीरा पंडित मन्यमानाः दन्द्रम्यमाना पर्यन्ति मूढा अन्धेन एव नीयमाना यथाग्धः. Here is talking about the people who have this worldly outlook. So avidya yam antare, they are situated in avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance means the ignorance of your true nature. What is my true nature? I am Atma. So because of that, because of this ignorance of my true nature that I am Atma, I get entrapped in what the reverse, what is Anatma. Anatma is what? The world. The world is Anatma. So I get trapped in the Anatma. So here, what is avidya, what is atma, what is anatma, we have not seen here. It will come up later, right? So it will come up later. So we have to take it that it will be revealed later. But after this mantra, I will just give you a short synopsis of what this Atma Gyanam is about, because the full topic is a huge one. It will be revealed here also. But those who attended Tattva Bodha, they would have seen there Atma Kaha, what we saw. So what is Atma? It is separate from the three Sharirams, is separate from the three Avasthas. So with this, I'll quickly summarize later on. So right now we are talking about Avidyayam Antare Vartamana, the people who are involved in the world, who are involved in these desires, Avidyayam Antare, in the midst of, situated in the center of, they are but what are these people? Swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. They think of themselves as pandit, very intelligent. They think that whatever they do is right, whatever others are doing is stupid. I mean, others meaning the ones who are following the path of Shreyas, right? So, path of Shreyas is very tough, right? So, even for a simple thing as, like going to the gym, most people will not go, and so those who don't go, they will never understand that why this person is going, or someone is doing some kind of meditation, spiritual pursuit. No one understands unless they have done it themselves. When you do it yourself, when you see the benefit, then you start telling everyone, right? That is why we have so many of these videos on YouTube these days. People are discovering this spirituality. The more our scriptures are opening up, people are finding them more available. Earlier, these were hidden in books that were not very widely read. Just parts of them were available through, say, through Puranic fables and stories by which this knowledge was transmitted. But now it's more freely available, and there are so many teachers available who are teaching them to everyone who wants to, right? So, but still, a majority of people will always be trapped in the materialistic world. So, Swayam Dhiraha Panditam Manyamana. They think of themselves as very uh, intelligent, very Pandit. Dhira and Pandit, what is the difference? Is Dhira means someone who is very, very intelligent, and Pandit is who's very studious, who has analyzed everything, right? So using the intellect, they have analyzed everything. That is what they think. Manyamana, they think of themselves. That word clearly shows that it's not true exactly. They think of themselves as that, but they are not actually. Dandramyamana pariyanti muraha. So then Dandram, they keep on roaming from here and there in different, different births, different yonis also. So they take different kinds of birth. So whatever birth we take, no, each of those births represents our desire. Sometimes we go back to a lower yoni also, because when we have not utilize this human birth and immerse ourselves in a kind of desire that is, you can say, almost to the level of an animal. So that when we do that, we can be born as that animal still, or we can go back to being a very lowly organism or a tree also. So that way, we get lesser sense organs and more less control over our sense organs, because the animals, they don't have control over their desires. So whatever they do, they don't generate any kind of karma phalam. So dandramyamana pariyanti moodaha, these moodha, these stupid people, these murkh people, these people who are think they are intelligent, but really not so. They are intelligent world-wise. Worldly, they are intelligent. Yeah, Agyani. They are world-wise, they are very intelligent. They know how to make money. Yeah, so nothing wrong about that. Yeah, but there is a way our scriptures have taught everything to do, how to do it in balance, how to make money and yet to spend that money in the proper way. So dharma has to be controlled. So if you have kamaha, you have desires, then your desires have to be dominated by dharma. How to use the money in a proper way, how to give maximum of it to other people for charity or for other uses. So everything is given. So uh, all the uh, Arth, Kam, Dharma, and Moksha, all these four Purusharthas, or the four desires, four kind of desires that we have, they are all interconnected in a very very synthesized manner, very beautifully uh, connected manner, right? So whatever earth, whatever wealth we generate, that has, and whatever kamnas or whatever desires we have, they have to be controlled by dharma, or our or the proper way or the righteous way. And then finally we have to move beyond these. We have to move to the path of Shreyas, giving up all these and going towards moksha. That is the final or the highest purusharth. So these here it is said avidyayam antare vartamana. All of these people who are involved in this kind of blind paths, they go round and round in circles. How do they go? Andhena ev niyamana yathanda. Just like a blind person is leading a blind. What will happen? Both will fall into the ditch. One is already falling, other will fall. This so like the blind leading the blind, both fall into a ditch. Anyone remember some other scripture? Bible, Matthew. But it's in the Bible, Matthew 15.14. You can check it. So this is when I first read this. Oh, I said, oh, some read this somewhere, somewhere in the Bible, and I searched it out when I first read the Kathopnishad, and then I found. So similarly, I found lot of the good things that we find in some of the other scriptures. They have all come from the first religion, from Hinduism, from Sanatan Dharma. Hmm. Pied pipe. So yeah, so all of these, a lot of the beautiful sayings in other scriptures, they also have prior existence in our ancient scriptures. So all of the good thoughts, they somehow originate in the mind of people who have more sattvic intelligence, as we saw earlier. So when they are sattvic, then they naturally derive these kind of good things, and so they are able to. So of course, in the Bible, it's about following only their God, and all others are wrong. So that is a different context here. It is about the following the path of knowledge is good. Those who don't follow, they fall into the ditch of samsara. Samsara is said to be a ditch, where you fall and you remain trapped into that, until and unless you generate within yourself the desire to come out of this, to go beyond this. So andhena ev niyamana yathandaha. So both of these paths that are being taken up by people, they lead to different results, and so the ones who are following them, they are able to go to these different paths and generate for them whatever they have found, what is uh, their goal in life. So whatever your goal in life, you can take each of these paths and go to them, and whatever path you follow, it will lead you to that goal only. So in even in the case of generating wealth also, you can take up the path of Shreyas. So why? Because when you're taking the path of Shreyas, then for generating wealth also you need discipline. So you have to take Shreyas there also. It can be applied everywhere. So when you use that, when you are disciplined in your job or you're in business, you will naturally derive more productivity. You will have more productivity. You will have more capacity to make money. Or if you are in a job, you will have the more you have a higher capacity to rise above the other people who are in the job, or rise faster among the ranks. So in this way, both these paths are leading us to our respective goals in life, right? So out of these, the path of prayers is said to be a bit lower, right? Now we go to the next one, sixth. न साम्पराय प्रतिभाति बालम् प्रमाद्यन्तं वित्तमोहेन मूढम् अयं लोको नास्ति पर इति मानि पुनः पुनर्वशमापद्यते मे न साम्पराय प्रतिभाति बालम् प्रमाद्यन्तं वित्तमोहेन मूढम् अयं लोको नास्ति पर इति मानि पुनः पुनर्वशमापद्यते मे. So, if we take this just the simple meaning, na samparaya pratibhati balam. So, samparaya is represents the higher lokas, paraloka. I will explain the derivation of this word later. So, na samparaya pratibhati balam. It does not attract, or it uh, does not uh, get understood by people of lower intellect. Balam is means a child, but Balam means someone who's not mature, whose intelligence is yet to be more purely formed. So this path of uh, the path of the higher lokas is not understood by the ones with the lower intellect, or the less mature or immature intellect. So pramadyantam with the mohena mudam. So these people, the childish people, what happens to them? Pramadyantam with the mohena mudam. With the mohen, they are attracted by wealth only, and they are mudam. Mudam, as I said earlier, mudam represents the uh, pot that is kept in the reverse, on the ulta side, on the upside down side. So there, what will happen? It will hold no water. So similarly, mudam is said to be stupid. Mood represents a मटका जो उल्टा रखा हुआ है, पॉट दैट इज kept ulta, upside down, so it will not hold any water. So that it is a word also used for someone who is uh, foolish or stupid. So pramadyantam, they are afflicted by pramad is what? Pramad is the laziness, indolence, not wanting to do something, not very active. So or it will also relate, it also indicates someone who's deluded, whose intellect is not sharp. So what do they say? I am lokah na asti parah iti. So only this world exists. So they will say, what are you talking about, this paralog and all? Has anyone seen them? No, they do not exist. So for them, it does not exist. And para iti mani puna puna vasham apadyate me. So what happens to these kind of people? Itimani, who think in this manner, punah punah vasham apadyate mein. They constantly come under my control. My control means they constantly come under the control of life and death. Yamaraja is controlling death. So he gets to, take away their souls, and then take them to a different loka, and then again they will get another birth. So now, Samparaya, Paraya is something further or far, right? So, farther means something that is beyond this current state of existence, Current state of existence is what? This lok, this Prithvi lok, this Bhu lok, or this current universe that we are born into, right? So Samparaya is something higher than that. So that represents the higher lokas, right? So that represents the higher lokas. Samparaya मतलब ऊंचे लोक जैसे स्वर्ग वगैरह. But in another sense, Samparaya also means the scriptures. Shastra. Why? Because Shastra talks about those topics which are not available for human perception. So Shastra will tell you about those things. So it will talk. What are the two main topics of Shastra? The two main topics of Shastra is one is the Paralok. Of course, the higher and lower, all the paraloks, or that are not available for perception, and secondly, liberation, moksha. These are the two main topics of Shastra, right? So these are two things which we cannot understand, or if we read on our own, we cannot understand. We need the Shastra, and so Shastra is the mirror by which we can see our own face. Otherwise, we cannot see our own face, right? So we need something outside of ourselves to indicate to us that knowledge, even though that knowledge is a part of me. What is that knowledge? Aham Atma. So, for these people, I am lokaha na asti para. They will all never accept that there is something beyond this. So, what does Shastra do? It describes the other lokas, and it also describes in a way that you understand that you cannot negate it by logic. It's not that just keh diya to ho gaya. Just yeah, the Shastra is written, so we accept it as truth. So, Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. That is the process we follow for understanding any kind of Shastra. Right? Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. So what Shruti is what the Shastra says. Then Yukti, we examine it by the method of logic. Yes, it is logical. Then only we'll accept it. And then finally, Anubhuti. It can become a subject of my own inner experience. I can internally experience that. So that is how this process works, how Shastra is understood. So Samparaya here represents Shastra or something that is beyond the reach of our normal mind and sense organs, right? So for the people who do not accept that these higher lokas exist or there is something called liberation, for them what happens? Then they will stay in this world only. They will just leave their body and then they'll come back. So there are two kinds of people here. One is what we call the charvaks. For the charvaks is what we call the pure materialists. The pure materialist, their philosophy is what? Ghritam, Rinam Kritva, Ghritam Pibet. So it's a long verse, but we'll just the gist of it. So Rinam Kritva, you take lot of debt and then drink or eat ghee. So you can just, but ultimately you have to pay back the debt. No? So who will refute that? So it is this philosophy of materialism or what we call atheism has been totally destroyed by logic in our spiritual scriptures, right? It has been that is why they no longer exist. But today, the West they still follow this thing, and some people feel some kind of pride in saying they're atheist. But when we examine that by logic, atheism is has no ground. It has no ground. It is simply closing its eyes or being blind to what other conclusions we can reach by a more deeper examination of the whole of existence, right? So puna puna vasham apadyate me. So this samparaya, what is this? This shastra, whatever it is teaching us, it teaches us the goal of higher knowledge. So when we are looking at this goal of higher knowledge or this atma jnana, we will of course uncover in greater detail, but just to say it in short, we say how do we discover what I am? So the main I have to understand is uh, uh, how to uh, how to understand the fact that what is my own true nature, Atma. So Atma Kaha. So that is the main exploration. So we saw that in Tattvabodha, Atma Kaha. So there are two avenues in which it is explored. What are the two avenues? First is what it is not. So Sukshma, Sthul, something that is separate from the three Sharirams. So what are the three Sharirams? Sukshma Shariram, Sthul Shariram, Karan Shariram. So I am what? I am the consciousness. I am consciousness. I'm pure consciousness. But what about how do I think of myself? I think of myself as the body, right? So here Shastra gives us a very unique method. It says you analyze what you say as yours. Whatever you say is yours is not you. So जो तुम्हारा है वो तुम नहीं हो. So like this table is mine, this chair is mine. So I am not the table, I am not the chair. Similarly, it says, what about your body? You say मेरा शरीर, my body. Mama shariram. So when you say mama shariram, then that means you are not the body. Body is just an instrument. Body is just an instrument that you use to experience the world or to enjoy the world. So in Tattva we saw that the sthul sharir, this gross body. Then we have the subtle body consisting of the mind, the sense organs. So mana, dashendriya, all these. Mana, karmendriya, jnanendriya, panch prana. Man and buddhi. So the 17 components. So these also are not me. They are just something that I use. They are my instruments, right? And then Karan Shariram, the seed of all my thoughts, the all my vasanas, all my desires where they reside, they become the seed for all my continuing coming janmas. So Karan Sharir again is also my Karan Sharir. It is my ignorance of my true nature which leads me to different births. And what does that ignorance consist of? That ignorance consists of all my desires. Where does desire come from? When I do not know of my true nature, I think of myself not as the unlimited Atma, but as the limited body. Then I need something outside of me to validate me. I need something outside of me to complete me. Right? And so I keep on acquiring the things of the world. And as I keep on acquiring the things of the world, I feel that I'm becoming complete, but I never become complete. That incompleteness remains. How many items of the world, how whatever riches you may acquire, you will still feel incomplete, right? So when you reach that realization, then only you go to this inner journey of discovering who I am. So when we go inner, then I reject the three sharirams. Then we reject also the three avasthas: the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. So these also are states. These are just avastha through which the Atma, am able to experience things. So again, these are also not me. Then again, I negate the Panchakoshatit Sun. So I am beyond the five coverings of or the layers of my personality, right? So Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, and finally Anandamaya Kosh. So all these koshas are also layers of my personality. Annamaya Kosh represents the gross body only. So the food sheath. So all of these happen. What they divert my attention from understanding myself, seeing myself or knowing. So when this diversion happens, then I am not directed towards my true nature. I am not able to understand my true nature. So what is my true nature? It is self, Atma. So Atma is what? So first of all, we see that two things that are always available to me, even though we don't notice it. So first is I am. This never goes away. Aham asmi. I exist. So existence is one of the key aspects of this Atma. So it is ever existent. Then aham janami. I know. I am conscious. I am. तो मैं और हूँ. So in मैं ब्रह्म हूँ, again same thing. So when we slowly analyze this thing, this Atma, we understand, and then finally we see that it is also infinite. So infinite means it is anantam, or anantam also we say anandam. So anandam how? Because when I realize I am infinite, then there is nothing outside of me left to achieve it, to grasp. So when we do that, we understand that, then we know that uh, uh, I don't need anything to complete me, and that is the state of total or highest joy, bliss that we call it. It's not just simple the joys and sorrows of the world. It is bliss where I don't need an object. It is objectless joy. It is the joy of knowing my true nature as infinite, then that means I don't need anything outside of me to complete me, and so I am in the highest state of bliss. So that is my true nature. And then we logically analyzed there. We showed how we saw the five qualities of consciousness. Consciousness is not a part, product, or property of the body. Consciousness is an independent principle that pervades and enlivens the body, and so on. So, by using a rigorous process of logic, we understood that this consciousness it cannot be confined. It has no shape. So, what if something doesn't have a shape? Then what is its nature? It is infinite. There is nowhere you can box it in or store it or keep it confined. This Atma, this consciousness can reach out to the farthest of stars. You can perceive them. As long as they are available in your line of sight, you can perceive them. So nowhere in the universe where you can take your body will be left where you cannot perceive, right? And then we saw also existence. So existence is also another aspect of this very same Atma. And so just as consciousness is infinite, existence is also infinite. Why? Because existence does not end with the body. Existence is there in the space within my body and also in all the other items. Everything we say, this is the isness. This book is, that means it exists. So there is a name and form for this book, which we'll see in detail later. There is a more name and form for this book, and the core essence is what? The core essence is it exists. It has existence. And this existence exists in infinitely in all directions. There is nowhere you cannot say where this existence is not. Everywhere that existence is. So existence and consciousness, they both are infinite. And by the simple rule of logic that there cannot be two different infinites, otherwise they will limit each other. There cannot be two different infinites because they will limit each other. So by that logic, we understood that existence and consciousness actually are one only. They are different aspects of the very same Atma. So I am Atma, I am infinite, and so that infiniteness I have to remember always. Hmm. Anantatvam, Nityatvam, I'm beyond time, beyond space, beyond objects. So with this nature, when known to me, this is called Atmagyanam. We'll cover more layers of this in the text also. So why I have repeated it here? Because in the next verses, the glory of this will be described, and you will not understand the glory of it unless you know what is the nature of Atma, right? So what is Atma? Existence, consciousness, bliss. And what are the rest? The rest is Anatma. That includes my body, the bodies of all the people around me, all the objects of the universe, everything that you can see, everything that you can experience. Even your thoughts you can experience. So they are also Anatma. The whole universe is Anatma. So that is the basic process of analyzing the objects of the world. We place them in a different category, and that is where materialism lies, the obtaining or enjoying of those objects, right? So now we go on to go back to the mantra. So I'll share this. So here we have seen na samparaya pratibhati balam. So this the samparaya, this higher lok, but also this shastra, it shines pratibhati. It illumines. It illumines our higher nature. But na pratibhati balam for the one with undeveloped intellect, the balam, the child or childlike intelligence. It's not just said here for children. It is said for all of us big children also. So we are also in that very same category when we let our senses rule us and go out into the world. Because, whatever this knowledge that we have, this knowledge is something that we are unable to hold for long periods. Now, we do not control this knowledge, or we do not have full what we call uh, in Sanskrit the word is swamitvam. We don't rule this. We don't have full control over this, right? So because what here the word this knowledge, this pratibhati, this knowledge, bhati is to shine. So this knowledge is something that has, we say, three aspects, three very beautiful aspects. What is that? The word we use for this knowledge is pragya. So pragya is the knowledge by we understand also the objects of the world, but also our own true nature. So pragya has three aspects. What are the three aspects? The first aspect is dhi. Then second is dhriti, and third is smriti. So this pratibhati word includes all three. So when this no, what is this dhi? Dhi is the actual knowledge itself, something that we have learned through scriptures, learned from the guru, learned through our own experience. That is the dhi. So that is very important part. Unless we have the knowledge, we will not be able to apply it, right? But in our tradition, in our shastric system, just knowing is not enough. जानना ही सब काफी नहीं है. So pragya also has a second component which is called smriti. You should be able to remember the knowledge when needed. Just not in the class. I know I am Atma. Outside again, I'm back to my old habits. So that smriti should be there. Unless the smriti is there, this knowledge here is something that is left in this place only. If I can't carry it outside, if I can't carry it in my behavior, then I will be like this Balam here. I will be of that undeveloped intellect. So that is why the Dhriti, the Smriti has to be there. Because if you remember in the story of the Mahabharata, Karna is fighting Arjuna, but because he was cursed by his guru, because he went to his guru under the guise of being a Kshatriya, being a Brahman, he went to Parshuram and he took the knowledge. But then Parshuram discovered that he's not actually a Brahman, he's a Kshatriya, and he detested Kshatriyas. So he gave him a curse. Okay, I've given you this knowledge, but I'm taking away your smriti. You will not remember this knowledge at the time of war. And so at the time of war, he forgot at that moment. And it was in that moment he was killed by Arjuna. So Smriti is very important. A lot of times, we know, yes, I know this thing is good for me, yet I am not able to follow it. I know this is how I should do this thing, yet again, at the time of requirement, I am not able to hold on. I know I must not be forever busy on my mobile and doing, playing games or watching all those different things. We all know that, yet we again spend time on that. So then that brings us to the third aspect. What is the third aspect? The dhriti. Dhriti. So dhriti is how to hold on to that knowledge always. Smriti is there, but to be able to hold on to that knowledge, to apply that knowledge, that becomes one of our most difficult tasks for us. So unless the dhriti is there, the power to hold on to something, dhriti is our inner power, inner strength by which we hold on to this knowledge. So till that dhriti is there, this pratibhati, this knowledge is useless. So even in Ayurveda, uh, there is something that is said that what is the root of all diseases? The root of all disease is pragyahani. Pragyahani, or the loss of knowledge, is the root of all diseases. So in most modern science, we have slowly come to discover in modern medicine that lot of diseases are psychosomatic. They are depend on mind. A lot of diseases, they originate in the mind. But our Shastra, our Ayurveda has gone one step further. It has said what? It has said that all diseases start from not knowing about something. So when we have wrong knowledge, then we eat wrong kinds of food. Then we do wrong kinds of activities. We indulge in wrong kinds of, habits. So when these are happening, slowly they become the root of all diseases. Later on, of course, at the second level, wrong food habits, wrong exercise, all these contributory factors. But at the root of that is what? Pragyahani. Pragyahani is the root of that. So, so for this person who is not in knowing this, who does not have this knowledge, what is his nature? I am loko nasti parahiti mani. Only this loka is existing. He will not even turn inwards to see even the nature of his sense organs. Oh my God, this sense organ is just this eye. What will happen? If I take out this. So the sense organ is not this eye. The sense organ is the power behind this eye. There are people who will have this outer eye, but then they will still not able to see. So we call this golak. This is just the outer organ. But inside is the actual power. That power is the indriya. So when we slowly analyze through Shastra, when we slowly see all these things, then only we understand that there is something beyond the common general perception. We have to go beyond. there are a lot of things we don't see, right? A lot of things we don't experience, and so we experience through them through what we call anuman praman, through estimation, right? So a lot, so like Shakti, any kind of power, we have to understand Shakti. We say, what is the word we used in Vedanta? Shakti is Karya Anumeya. Any kind of power can be known from the effect that it produces. So by just saying that this log exists and not the others, we are rejecting the fact that internally every day experience thoughts which I cannot see. No. So does that mean the thoughts are not there? No. So in this way, when we go deeper inside, we go from the normal outer things to the inner powers, the inner Shakti, the Indriyas. Then we go to the mind. Then we go to who is watching the mind, who's seeing the thoughts. There is some consciousness. So that is the main core of my being. That is the main core of my being. So as we move inwards, these things about the Shastra are revealed. So now what is this Shastra about? What is its benefits? What is its speciality? So this is talked about in this next verse. श्रवण्यापि बहुभिर्न लभ्यः शृण्वन्तोऽपि बहवोऽयं न विद्युः आश्चर्यवक्ता कुशलोऽस्य लब्धा आश्चर्यो ज्ञाता कुशलानुशिष्टः श्रवण्यापि बहुभिर्यो न लभ्यः शृण्वन्तोऽपि बहवोऽयं न विद्युः आश्चर्यवक्ता कुशलोऽस्य लब्धा आश्चर्यो ज्ञाता कुशलानुशिष्टः. So Shravanya api bahubhi na labhyah. So there are lot of people for who even after listening to this knowledge, Shravanya api bahubhi, lot of people, bahubhi, many people, na labhyah. So lot of people they desire to hear this knowledge about Atma Jnanam, but they are unable to find the proper person, the proper guru, the proper teacher, and the proper shastra. Because even just reading the shastra, you cannot make head or tail of this. You need someone to guide you. Just like for any subject. And you just can't read a book in physics and become a master. You need a teacher who will teach you, who will make you do practicals, experiments, and so step by step you learn everything. So this way you need Shravanya api bahubirna labhya. A lot of people who attempt to listen to Shastra, they don't find the person who can teach them. Shinvanto api bahavo yam na vidyu. And lot of people, even after managing to hear of it, Shinvanto api bahavo yam na vidyu, still they do not understand. They do not understand this Atma Jnanam or this self-knowledge. Even after listening many hours, thousands of hours, or maybe so many janmas also, they still do not understand this knowledge. Ascharya Vakta. Ascharya is not just surprise. Huh? Ascharya in normal Hindi we understand as surprise, but Ascharya means it is a wonder. It is rare. Rare is a person who you can find. Ascharya Vakta. So finding a person who can talk about this Atma Jnanam is a wonder, or it's a rare. Rare is a person whom you can find who can uh, teach this self-knowledge. Uh, then Kushalos, who's Kushal also, who's very expert, just not just someone who can rattle off the Shastras or maybe chant a few verses. That is not sufficient. He must be Kushal, he must be expert. So his Kaushalasya must be there. Kushalo asya labdha. So finding such a person is very, very difficult. And then Ascharya Gyata Kushal Anushishta. And then further, a wonder is or more rare is the listener who is proficient to grasp this teaching. Kushal Anushishta. So he is very expert in understanding Anushishta to understand the teaching, whatever is being taught. So in this way, this knowledge it is being said here is very very precious. So it is a teaching that is hard to obtain, right? So if anyone has read the Gita, it's almost similar shlok there also. So ascharyavat paschati kaschidenam, ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyah, ascharyavat chainam anyah shrinoti, shrutvapenam vedana chaiva kaschit. So there also it said ascharyavat paschati kaschidenam. Very rare is the person who can see this self knowledge, who is able to visualize this self knowledge. Pashyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya. And rarer is a person who, having absorbed this self knowledge, is still proficient enough to teach it to others or tell it to others. No, a lot of people will know, but they cannot express. They cannot express to each other people. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya. Then ascharyavat cha enam anya shridoti. And then it is again a rare person who is adhikari, who's worthy of listening to this. And then asya shrutva api enam veda na cheva kaschit. So there is a rare person who will listen and understand. Lot of people are there who will still listen to it and still not be able to understand. So it's in the second chapter, the 29th shlok of Gita. So there this same thing comes up, slightly different words, but the basic idea or context is the same. So in this way, this knowledge is very difficult, and those who are listening or who are able to get it, they are very lucky. It is said here, and getting the proper teacher also. So you but just pray that you find the proper teacher and who will be able to understand. If you are lucky, then you will be able to get this knowledge or absorb this knowledge, right? So it needs to you need to be under the guidance of such a teacher constantly, more preferably if you are staying with that teacher and he's able to hammer your ego again and again. So that is a very important part of that. So when all of this knowledge is finally absorbed and becomes part of our being, then only we can say, I have this atmagyan mere paas hai. So so in this way, we will, this is a very deeper mantra. So we'll go more into the context of this. We'll look it up, but time is up for today. I carried forward 5 minutes because we start 5 minutes late. So let's wind up for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat.